Police Minister Bheki Cele is appealing for calm and an amicable solution to the ongoing violent SANTACO stayaway in the Western Cape. Cele says government is intervening in the matter, with the Transport Minister in Cape Town engaging with the stakeholders. SANTACO yesterday withdrew its services across the province over members' taxis being impounded. The strike is set to continue until next week Wednesday.
As we talk now, Minister of Transport has just landed in Cape Town. He's trying to speak to all those that are responsible with the MSC transport. I hope he gets the city, but get the police. So we are trying to resolve that matter. It's quite violent. 2 buses were banned yesterday when this thing was announced. But my pain heart goes to the people of Langa, Gugule to Khayelitsha, where those that are trying to help those that are going to work, school and all, they themselves are assaulted, their cars are stopped, their cars are destroyed and all that. We are making the call to say allow the people to live their life.
Listening in on that is Roberto Quintas, who is the MMC for Urban Mobility in the city of Cape Town. Roberto, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. What is the latest information at your disposal this hour?
Thank you very much, Judy, for having me on the show now, and a very good afternoon to all of your viewers. So, Judy, at the current point, I'm aware that Minister Chipunga is meeting with SANTACO at their regional offices here. A follow-on meeting is scheduled for 2:30 at the Ministry for Mobility for the province. And there, myself and MEC Mackenzie and Minister Chipunga will be in dialogue around what is happening here in Cape Town. Depending on how the meeting with SANTACO and the Minister goes, SANTACO may join us as well, which I certainly hope that they will. However, we have been alerted to the fact that it may just be a meeting between the 3 political principals across the 3 spheres of government, should SANTACO not join.
Sure. What would prevent them from joining? Have they indicated that they do not want a seat at the table?
Well, we get mixed messages from them, to be quite honest. We have an ongoing engagement process with the minibus taxi industry, and we have had that for the past 6 months, where there have been some very big victories and wins for the industry on behalf of the city and province, where we have certainly been able to provide some relief in accordance with some of the demands and issues that they've tabled. However, they withdrew from that process in writing formally last week. We then, in writing between myself and the MEC, proposed some additional measures which may prove helpful with some of their operations. They acknowledged the receipt of that letter but did not respond to the letter as such. And we, being the provincial government and the city government, met at our usual location on Monday in the sincere hope that the letter had been digested and that there would be representatives from the minibus taxi industry present. They did not arrive. And the situation has escalated rapidly since Tuesday to what we're seeing now, which is wanton criminality and destruction of public and private property, as well as the harassment and intimidation of other public transport operators and commuters as well.
Roberto, the city of Cape Town stands accused of wanting to completely remove taxi operators from being a reality in the city of Cape Town. Is there any merit to this accusation?
Absolutely not. I myself attended a UITP, which is the Union of International Public Transport Providers, in a session in Barcelona recently, where I was one of the guest panelists on a discussion around paratransit, which is the global term for, in our instance, minibus taxis, where we made it very clear that the minibus taxi industry is a partner. It forms part of our integrated rapid transport solutions and a healthy, robust and competitive mixed model of public transport offerings that we would like to see available to every Capetonian, be that the choice to hop on and hop off seamlessly between a minibus taxi, a My City or Golden Arrow bus or any other bus services, to your Uber, to your rail, etc. So in any healthy ecosystem for public transport, there are multiple modes. That is not the issue, is not minibus taxis. The issue is the safety of our commuters and the transgressions that are in the minibus taxi industry in relating to the National Land Transport Act on what is required to be a fit and proper public transport provider in terms of putting members of the public, people's children, into a minibus taxi and taking them off to school. That is where the impasse is. It is certainly not on operating licenses. It is certainly not on route discussions. The impoundments are only a third of the impoundments, in fact, have anything to do with operating licenses. The rest, the other 2/3, are all squarely on transgressions by the minibus taxi industry in terms of driving without a driver's license, having an unroadworthy vehicle, the driver or the vehicle being sought in a criminal investigation, driving dangerously or recklessly with passengers in the vehicle. The list goes on. So those are the issues that we have with the minibus taxi industry in the interest of commuter safety. But those that have compliant vehicles, whose drivers are fit and proper people, and who have the necessary permits to operate on a certain route, because there's a lot of pirating happening where some minibus taxis operate in another taxi space, and that results, as we know, in very fatal consequences. The industry is known for regulating its competition in ways that are lethal, and all of our enforcement is to try and prevent that. Very little of it has anything to do with operating licenses, and we do value the minibus taxi industry. In fact, they're partners with My City on our phase 1 of the My City network, and we are entreating them already in terms of the negotiations around the phase 2 expansion of our My City network. So we see them as partners, and we are very, that they are our partners.
Sure. Roberto, what is your understanding of why people use taxis? Is there an appreciation in terms of maybe a census or survey that was done to ask people why they use taxis? I ask because you speak of the mixed model. In a place like South Africa, when you speak of Uber for people, accessibility in terms of affordability, the rail network, I'm not sure about Cape Town, maybe it's the exception to the rule. Last I checked, infrastructure there is not working. Maybe I'm wrong in the city of Cape Town. And My City bus in terms of affordability as well. So when you take a look at the hundreds of thousands of people who were stranded, some who had to walk late at night. I mean, one person was detailing to our reporter how they're even scared to get to the particular place they live at after a certain time. Is there an appreciation of why people use taxis? How many people use taxis there? And what is the plan for those people?
Okay, so the reasons behind the burgeoning taxi industry in Cape Town can be directly correlated to the collapse of passenger rail within the metro. So the taxi industry has stepped in to accommodate the demand for transport where rail has failed commuters in Cape Town. And they, once again, say that they are valued partners. And we will constantly create new routes and create new permit opportunities for those that are stepping in to fill that demand. We manage and monitor demand on an ongoing basis with actuarial statistic precision. So we know that that is, I think, fundamentally the largest reason. There's also a secondary reason, which is that the large passenger buses are not always able to access certain areas, like, particularly informal settlements, and also in some parts of the established township areas. So the buses only will cover certain routes and locations and destinations for pickup and drop-off. And the taxi industry, by and large, has been a feeder service in the past, which is taking people from the street corner where they live to the nearest bus terminus or rail station. Over time, the rail station component is not available and unreliable, so they have also now joined in on commuting passengers between the various township areas within Cape Town to the places of opportunity, the industrial hubs and the city centre. So that is, I think, why there's an increased demand, which we certainly monitor and tailor for. What is happening around the commuters that were stranded last night. So the My City bus services ran up until they had ran on extended hours, getting people as far as they could according to the routes that they need to go. If you're traveling to an area that was not a volatile area, the service ran as normal. and we had extended hours for the areas where there was volatility, taking people as far as we could that was safest. Golden Arrow bus services maintained the same operations up until midnight last night. So there was public transport available to the key areas that people need to travel to, whether it be My City or Golden Arrow, until much later in the evening in terms of extended hours. And we will do the same again tonight if necessary.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Roberto Quintas is the MMC for Urban Mobility in the city of Cape Town.